Did you know that a single bite of fish, yes, fish, could quietly raise your risk of stroke without you even realizing it? Imagine enjoying your favorite seafood dish, thinking you're doing something good for your heart, only to discover it might actually be working against you. Shocking, isn't it? Now, I know what you might be thinking. Fish is healthy, right? It's what the doctors always say. Rich in omega-3s, good for your brain, light on the stomach. But what if I told you that's not the whole story? Especially for those of us over 60, our bodies don't tolerate things the same way they used to. Some types of fish, depending on how they're processed, cooked, or even the kind of fish it is, can quietly harm our blood vessels, raise our blood pressure, and increase the risk of stroke. This video isn't just about fish. It's about the hidden dangers that may be sitting right on your dinner plate. I'm going to walk you through the types of fish you might want to think twice about, especially if you're watching your heart health. If you're curious, even a little concerned, or maybe you just want to be sure you're making the best choices, stick with me. You might be surprised by what you find out. Drop a quick 1 in the comments if you're still including fish in your weekly meals, or a 0 if you've already started cutting back. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more health wisdom right here on Health 365. Let's dive into the first one you'll want to be extra careful with. Something that sounds fancy and healthy. Smoked salmon. It's rich, flavorful, and often praised as a heart-friendly choice. But here's the catch. Smoked salmon is loaded with sodium. I'm talking over 600 milligrams in just 2 ounces. For someone watching their blood pressure, that's already a third of the recommended daily limit, gone in just a few bites. Now, why does that matter? Because high sodium intake is one of the biggest contributors to high blood pressure. And high blood pressure is the #1 risk factor for stroke. It's not just a number on a monitor, it's the silent pressure that builds up inside your arteries, putting strain on your heart and blood vessels until something gives. One study from the American Heart Association found that even modest reductions in sodium could significantly lower stroke risk, especially in adults over 60. It's not just theory. It's hard science backed by years of data. And yet, when we pick up that pack of smoked salmon at the store, we rarely think about it. Now imagine pairing that salty salmon with cream cheese on a bagel or a salty cracker. It adds up fast. That innocent breakfast might be giving your arteries a morning they won't forget. So, what can you do instead? If you love salmon, opt for baked or grilled versions without the heavy salting or smoking. Season it with herbs, lemon juice, or even a dash of olive oil. You still get the benefits of omega-3s without the hidden sodium bomb. And now, let's move on to the next fish that might be sneaking danger into your meals. Pickled herring. Now, this one might remind you of a family tradition or an old-fashioned delicacy. It's popular in many European-style dishes and often shows up during the holidays. But don't let its nostalgic charm fool you. Pickled herring is one of the saltiest fish you can put on your plate. Just 2 ounces of pickled herring can pack over 700 milligrams of sodium. That's nearly a third of your daily sodium limit, again, in just a few bites. The pickling process isn't just about adding flavor, it's about preservation. And the main preservative? Salt. A lot of it. The real problem here is that many older adults enjoy these dishes as part of a comforting routine. Maybe it's a sandwich or part of a cold salad. But the hidden salt builds up day after day. Over time, it pushes blood pressure higher and higher, increasing the strain on your arteries and setting the stage for a stroke. Researchers from the Journal of Clinical Hypertension found that people who regularly consumed pickled or heavily salted foods were at significantly higher risk for both hypertension and cardiovascular events. These aren't rare outcomes. They're common, especially in older adults who've developed a taste for these preserved foods. So here's a simple tip. If you love herring, try fresh versions instead. Lightly grilled or baked herring can still offer those heart-healthy fats without drowning your system in sodium. And if you do enjoy a pickled bite now and then, balance it out with low-sodium meals the rest of the day. Coming up next is a fish that might seem perfectly fine until it hits the frying pan: fried mackerel, or really any kind of fried fish. It's crispy, golden, and comforting. Maybe it's something you've enjoyed at a family gathering, a weekend diner, or even made at home. But here's the truth. The moment fish gets breaded and dropped into hot oil, it stops being heart-friendly. Why? Because frying, especially deep frying, introduces trans fats and harmful oxidized oils into your food. These fats are notorious for damaging the lining of your blood vessels. They encourage the buildup of plaque, which narrows the arteries and makes it easier for clots to form, setting the stage for a potential stroke. According to a study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, people who regularly consumed fried fish had a 37% higher risk of stroke compared to those who ate it rarely or not at all. That's a big number, especially when we're talking about something that might be on your plate every week. And it's not just about the fat. The breading used in fried fish often contains refined flours and additives that spike inflammation in the body. Combine that with reused frying oil, which many restaurants do, and you've got a dangerous combo working quietly against your health. So, what's a better approach? If you enjoy mackerel, try it grilled with some olive oil and herbs. It's still rich and flavorful, and you'll keep the healthy omega-3s intact. Want that crunch? Try an air fryer. You get the texture without the artery-clogging oil. All right, let's take a look at another fish that might surprise you. Not because it's fried, but because of what's inside it. And it's not something you can see. Thick, meaty, often served at upscale restaurants. It's a favorite for folks who want something a little fancier than the usual fillet. But here's the hidden problem. Swordfish contains very high levels of mercury. Mercury is a heavy metal that, in small amounts, your body can tolerate. But swordfish? It's among the top offenders when it comes to mercury content. The FDA and EPA both advise older adults to limit or even avoid swordfish entirely. And here's why it matters. Mercury builds up in your body over time. It doesn't just disappear after one meal. That means if swordfish is part of your regular seafood routine, the risk grows quietly with every bite. What does mercury do? It can damage the nervous system and blood vessels, leading to increased oxidative stress. And for those of us over 60, that's a serious concern. Our blood vessels are already more sensitive. Add mercury to the mix, and you're adding fuel to a fire that could lead to stroke or cognitive decline. A study in the Journal of Environmental Health found that higher mercury levels in older adults were linked to poorer vascular function and a higher incidence of stroke. And the scary part? Most people never connect the dots. They eat swordfish thinking it's lean, high protein, and good for you. So, what should you do instead? Swap swordfish for safer, low-mercury options like wild-caught salmon or rainbow trout. You still get a hearty texture and rich flavor, without the hidden toxin. Next, we're diving into a fish that's often wrapped in newspaper, paired with fries, and packed with hidden dangers you wouldn't suspect. Fried cod, often served in the classic fish and chips combo. It's crispy, golden, comforting, and, unfortunately, a potential health landmine, especially for older adults. Now, cod itself isn't the problem. In fact, when it's steamed or baked, it's a lean and healthy source of protein. But once you deep fry it, everything changes. The real issue lies in the oil. Most places that serve fish and chips use oil that's been reheated and reused over and over, That oil breaks down and forms harmful compounds called free radicals. These compounds attack the walls of your blood vessels, inflaming them and accelerating the buildup of plaque. Over time, this can narrow your arteries and set the perfect stage for a stroke. In fact, a study from the British Medical Journal found that people who consumed fried fish more than once a week had significantly higher levels of arterial plaque than those who ate it less frequently. And when you add in the heavy breading, which soaks up all that oil like a sponge, it's no longer just a meal. It's a direct hit to your cardiovascular health. Think about the last time you had fish and chips. Crunchy outside, soft inside, maybe with a side of fries and some tartar sauce. That's a salt and fat combo that can overload your system, especially if you already have high blood pressure or cholesterol issues. Here's a simple swap. If you're craving cod, bake it at home with a drizzle of olive oil and some garlic or paprika. You still get the flavor, and maybe even a little crunch, without putting your arteries at risk. Now, what about that tiny salty fish you've seen on pizzas or in Caesar salads? That's up next, and it's sneakier than it looks. Anchovies. Tiny, salty, and often hiding in your favorite dishes, on top of pizza, in Caesar salad dressing, or mixed into savory sauces. They might seem harmless because they're so small, but don't be fooled. These little guys pack a massive sodium punch. Just 5 anchovy fillets can contain over 700 milligrams of sodium. That's nearly half of what most older adults should consume in an entire day. And the danger here isn't just in the quantity, it's how easily they slip under the radar. You might not even realize you're eating them. They're often mashed into dressings, blended into sauces, or tucked into gourmet dishes where you'd never expect them. Now here's why this matters. Sodium is a major player in raising blood pressure. The more you eat, the more your body holds on to water, which increases the volume of blood in your arteries. That raises pressure, puts stress on artery walls, and makes it more likely for a rupture or clot to occur, leading to a stroke. A clinical study published in Stroke Journal found that reducing sodium intake by even 1,000 milligrams per day could lower stroke risk by up to 20% in older adults. That's not a small number, and it highlights just how much damage a few hidden sources of salt can do over time. If you enjoy the flavor of anchovies, try limiting how often you eat them. Or use alternatives like chopped olives or sun-dried tomatoes for that salty umami kick. And if you're dining out, don't hesitate to ask what's in the sauce. A simple question could save your health in the long run. Up next, we're looking at a fish that sounds elegant and expensive, but may carry a heavy risk hiding beneath its smooth texture. Sounds elegant, doesn't it? Especially the Chilean sea bass. It's rich, flaky, and often found on high-end menus. But here's the concern. Certain types of sea bass, particularly the Chilean variety, are known to contain dangerously high levels of mercury. What makes this worse is that people often see sea bass as a premium choice. It feels healthier, more refined. But behind that reputation lies a toxin that could quietly raise your stroke risk. A long-term study published in Environmental Research revealed that consistent consumption of high-mercury fish, like sea bass, was associated with a measurable decline in vascular function among older adults. You might not feel anything right away, but over the months and years, mercury can cause inflammation, oxidative stress, and stiffening of the arteries. That increases the chances of blood clots and vessel damage, 2 major precursors to stroke. Now, if you really enjoy sea bass, the best thing to do is limit how often you eat it. Once every few months? Probably okay, but weekly or even bi-weekly? That's a risk you don't want to take. And remember, not all sea bass is the same. Ask your fishmonger or restaurant about the source. Or better yet, stick with low-mercury options like sardines or flounder, which are safer and still delicious. We've got one more fish on our list, and this one might be the most common culprit of all, especially if you love a good, crispy bite. Atlantic cod, a fish that's as common as it gets, especially in that classic dish, fish and chips. Now, the cod itself? No problem there. It's lean, high in protein, and low in fat. But just like we saw with fried cod earlier, the real trouble starts with how it's prepared. Atlantic cod is often the go-to fish for deep frying. It's battered, dunked in hot oil, and served up crispy with a side of fries. And just like that, a healthy piece of fish turns into a meal full of trans fats, oxidized oils, and refined carbs, all of which wreak havoc on your cardiovascular system. But there's another twist. Because it's so popular, this dish shows up everywhere, from fast food spots to family-style restaurants. That means it's easy to eat it more often than you think. Maybe once a week turns into twice, or maybe it's your regular Friday night favorite. And each time, your arteries take another hit. A 2019 study from Circulation found that adults who regularly ate fried fish had significantly higher levels of C-reactive protein, a marker of inflammation linked to heart disease and stroke. The inflammation isn't something you feel. It's quiet, constant, and dangerous, especially for folks over 60 whose blood vessels may already be more fragile. So here's the fix. If you love Atlantic cod, don't give it up. Just rethink the cooking method. Bake it with lemon and rosemary, or steam it with garlic and a splash of olive oil. You'll still get all the flavor, none of the danger. And hey, your heart and your brain will thank you. Coming up, we're wrapping up with one last fish. It's crispy, it's golden, and it's got a familiar name, but there's a hidden twist you'll want to know about. Haddock, a close cousin to cod, and just as popular in fish and chips. If you've ever ordered that dish at a pub or diner, there's a good chance it wasn't cod at all, but haddock. It fries up beautifully, with a tender interior and a crispy crust. But just like the others we've talked about, the problem isn't the fish, it's the frying. When haddock is deep fried, it's often coated in thick batter and dropped into oil that's been reused over and over again. That oil doesn't just lose its freshness, it becomes chemically unstable, forming compounds like aldehydes and trans fats. These toxic byproducts travel through your bloodstream, damaging the lining of your arteries and promoting the formation of plaque. And here's the kicker. Because haddock is so commonly used in fried dishes, people often don't even realize how frequently they're eating it. It might be a favorite at your local fish fry, or something you pick up frozen at the grocery store. But the more often you eat it this way, the greater the risk. A 2020 study in the Journal of the American Heart Association found that regular consumption of fried foods was associated with a higher risk of stroke, particularly among adults over 65. The more fried fish they ate, the higher the risk climbed. It's a gradual buildup, but the long-term impact is real and dangerous. So how can you keep enjoying haddock without putting your health at risk? Simple. Bake it with a light panko crust for crunch, or poach it in a flavorful broth. You'll get the same comforting taste, minus the inflammatory fats and artery damage. And now that we've uncovered all the sneaky dangers hiding in those seemingly innocent fish dishes, let's take a moment to wrap this all up and send you off with something to think about. So there you have it. Sometimes it's not the fish, but how we prepare and enjoy it that makes all the difference. Just a few small changes in the kitchen can protect your heart, lower your stroke risk, and help you stay healthy for the moments that truly matter. It's never too late to make better choices. You deserve meals that nourish, not harm. If this video helped you see your plate a little differently, consider giving it a like, dropping a comment, or sharing it with someone you care about. And don't forget to subscribe to